What's up, everybody? It's Bear with BearIndependent.com here today for Survival Dispatch to talk about some overlooked homestead tools. Most people, when it comes to preparedness, are quite familiar with one of these, my tool, and maybe to a lesser extent familiar with one of these, a chainsaw. By the way, steal or you're wrong. Steal or you're wrong. Steal or you're wrong. But there's a lot of potentially less sexy tools that don't really get the airtime that they should have. And so if you're new to homesteading or you have homesteading ambitions because it's a form of SHTF preparedness for you, we want to just go through a few things here that you're gonna need. And how do I know you're gonna need them? I grew up on a farm, born and raised on a farm, done all the agricultural homestead things basically from the time I was a little kid until now. And we've been living intentionally on a homestead for over 3 years now here as part of our preparedness plan so that we can produce calories, so that we can maintain security, so that we can live an intentional life with the people that we're gonna bug out with right now. So if we have any interpersonal issues, we can go ahead and figure that out now, rather than hoping that on the worst day of our lives, we're all just gonna get along, kumbaya, my lord, and just figure it out. Probably not gonna happen. So if I can save you a little bit of heartache, that's what this is about. So first, most homeowners have their little homeowner toolkit, a screwdriver, a hammer, maybe a pair of pliers, maybe some sockets. Most people have shovels. I don't even feel like I should have to talk about shovels, but we're gonna talk about shovels, okay? This is what I call a flat shovel. This is a spade shovel. This has a wooden handle. This is a fiberglass handle. I much prefer the fiberglass handle. The wood will crack and break over time. You can and should rub your wooden handles down with boiled linseed oil so that keeps the wood expanded in the metal pocket so that the rivet doesn't come loose. Same thing with your axes, anything else with a wooden handle on it. And yes, these should probably be kept clean, but here in the Pacific Northwestern corner of eastern Oklahoma, where it has rained incessantly for the last 3 years, we live in mud. We are the mud people. So shovels for sure. You use this one for digging, okay? This is for digging holes. This is for transferring material, scooping up compost, gravel, moving dirt, digging, moving, making holes, transferring material. So a good fiberglass handled shovel, highly recommended. And I would get one of each of these, not just the spade point or the round shovel, but also the transfer shovel or a flat shovel, because they do different jobs. The next is, to go hand in hand with that, depending on where you live, a lot of cheap land is available, cheap being a relative statement, because it's not ideal land. And part of what makes land not ideal is there's lots of rocks. Let me introduce you to the mattock, okay? Has a fairly dull blade on this side for chopping roots and removing rocks, so forth and so on. And it's got a pick on this side for breaking up soil and also dislodging rocks. If you're in need of some PT, this is a great way to get some PT in. Also, again, really good for working the earth, breaking up hard clay soil, removing roots. If you're gonna dig in a pre-positioned SHTF cache or an observation, so whatever your blah 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 is, this really good for digging in thick soil and for areas with rocks. Just get one. You're gonna need one. Again, fiberglass handle. Getting back to rocks, this is a digging bar. Steel bar, octagonal. It's got a point on one end and a flat on the other. This is generally used for chipping. Again, you can put, this is not hardened, but it is forged. So you can take a file, put an edge on this for busting out roots, and you use this end. Other people call this a sharpshooter, although some people call a thin shovel a sharpshooter. I don't know why. You use this end for dislodging rocks. You can poke it into the ground, hard soil, and again, if you need some PT, that's a great way to get some PT. In fact, when I was growing up, my dad had a power construction company, and God help you if you showed up hungover. You know what your job was? You got to work this all day, digging rocks. Yeah, so I don't know what this weighs, 20, 25 pounds, somewhere in there. Use this for a while for digging in post holes. Again, dislodging large rocks, chopping roots if need to. And a hand axe. A hand axe is also really good. Anything from a hatchet to maybe a 20, max 24-inch handle axe for cutting roots as well. But remove the dirt away from the roots if you have to pull stumps, if you're gonna cut the roots, because that dirt has rocks in it and it will dull out your blade. Again, axes are forged, but they're not hardened, so you can and should take a file and keep a nice edge on there, but you don't wanna make too much work for yourself by destroying that edge. Pry bars also. This is an old school pry bar. Mostly because this is an old school homestead. We called this place the land of almost when we got here because almost everything was almost done, meaning that practically nothing was done. Hey look, intruders. You should show them the intruders. Look at that. Unscripted, people. What are they on top of? They're on top of rocks and concrete that we put over here when we dug out to build a bridge on the homestead right there. That's got triple steel beams underneath it, double decked with 2x10, pressure treated on top of bolt-a-block foundation. It's phenomenal because we do the things on the homestead, and those are loblolly pine logs that we took down that we are going to mill into siding for our outhouse, because #homestead. And here's the brush clearing crew this very moment. So we don't just talk about the things, we do the things. Also, look, a gazebo that we built out of loblolly pine with chainsaws and hammers out of trees that came off of the property. So, pry bar, you want one of these because you can pull nails with it. You can leverage things into square with it. You can dig with it if you have to. You can crack an intruder on the skull with it as a melee weapon in chaos, whatever. Another thing, I am the bringer of death. Does this look familiar? A scythe. This one is about 100 years old. Super cool. Found this, actually, this one we did not find. We have another one like this that we found at an antique store. Good to go. Good to go. Just, again, forged but not hardened. So you take a file, clean this edge up with a file, make it nice and sharp, and you work this like so, and this is how you make your hay and work your abs and your core and hate your life all at the same time. Okay, so this one's about 100 years old. We have another one, this one was sent to us, and we have another one that we found at an antique store. And then we also have a couple of these that are Chinesium, okay? It has kind of like a copper bronze blade on it. And this one has been sharpened with a coarse sharpening stone. You can hear it. Here. And it's held, the blade's held on with this wing nut here. These are okay. It's got a couple of mass-produced Chinesium handles on it and an extruded aluminum handle. It's all right. I think it was like 60 bucks or so. It works. We've got a few of these as well. You can adjust the handle, this support handle, however you want to get the appropriate height so that you can make hay while the sun is shining. Not fun at all, but a lot of people ask, Bear, what are you gonna do when the world ends and there's no more feed store? How are you gonna feed your critters? Well, step one, let them eat what they have access to already. That comes down to good pastures, good fences. But step two, if you have a hay field, it sucks I'd much rather toss square bales or use the tractor to move around bale, but this will make hay. So, a scythe. There are also many little hand scythes, like brush knives. Looks almost like a parang, and you can use that for cutting hay, cutting brush for your animals as well. T-post pounder. Just get one. Don't mess with a sledgehammer. I love sledgehammers. Don't mess with a sledgehammer. Get a T-post pounder. T-post goes in the end of this, and you do this with it until the post goes in the ground. Need I say more? But highly recommended. Again, if you're needing some PT, just sink all your money into a Homestead and start working it. Lastly, rigging. If you are going to have a Homestead and do chainsaw stuff, or anything else really for that matter on a Homestead, rigging. And so these are 2-ton come-alongs, Mossdom brand, which is great if you can get them because they are guaranteed forever. And a lot of the big box stores sell these. So when you break them, even though they're guaranteed forever, you can take the broken one into the box store and just get a new one off the shelf. What happens when the box store goes away? 2 is 1, 1 is none. I have 4 of these because 4 is 2 or however that math works. I don't know. So, come-alongs. They also make these, looks just like this, but it's called a rope puller, where you can spool a continuous piece of rope around this spool, and the friction of the rope grabs onto the spool every time you click the handle. You can pull however long your rope is, rather than the length of this cable, which is typically about 6 feet. So if you had a 200-foot piece of rope, you can pull linearly 200 feet with that piece of rope. Getting to rope. Climbing line, this is climbing line. This is 1/2-inch stable braid climbing line, which is used for life support. And this is new, 150-foot hank of it. This is old climbing line that has become rigging line because, Dudley, if you come in close and look, you can see it's not in terrible condition, but once your rope starts to look like this, do not use it for life support. Once it starts to show any signs of degradation, you no longer are using that to support a life for any type of climbing, rappelling, whatever. That this now becomes a rigging line. And occasionally rigging lines snap. And so what I should do is cut this clean, wrap it with electrical tape and burn it. But I haven't done that yet. I did put a stopper knot in the end of it though. That was a porter wrap. If you know what a porty is, you know. If you don't know what a porty is, you don't know. Should I spend 200 bucks on a porty? Maybe not, but a porty or a port wrap is a friction device used for rigging. And basically you have your barrel of your rope wrapped around here. The more wraps of rope you have around here, the more friction you have, the more weight it will hold. You could take wraps off. It's basically used for tree work, but it can be used for recovery and a lot of other things as well. This is a Buckingham large porter wrap made in 09. Gosh, I'm old. All right. And then with a porter wrap, you want slings. This is a 5/8 stable braid woven sling so you can mount all this together. So ropes, rigging, chains, logging chain is another thing, like a good 3/8 logging chain with grab hooks on both ends. I keep a couple of them on my truck at all times. So for homesteading, basic hand tools, you know, when North Korea EMPs us back to the Stone Age, yeah, all this stuff, the chainsaw, if you have gasoline for it and borrow for it, will work. But all this other stuff, this is man-powered equipment. Ropes, come-alongs, rigging, shovels, digging bar, T-post pounder, scythes, your pick, mattock, your pry bars. All that runs on your personal horsepower. And you're gonna need it anyway. Should you have a tractor if you can afford it? Yeah, sure. A four-wheeler or side-by-side? Yeah, sure, absolutely. A gas-powered rear-tine rototiller? Yep, probably. The lawnmower? Yeah, sure, great. What happens if none of that stuff works? Even when it does work, you will still find you need a shovel, not an excavator. even when it does work, you will find I still need a digging bar, or I need a pick, or I have to set some T-posts, or I got to pull this tree over or drag this log out of the way. So basic stuff here. None of it's super sexy, but it is highly recommended. What brands do I recommend? Like I said, I like steel chainsaws, like Mostom come-alongs. I like shovels that have fiberglass handles in them. This is a Nupla Ergo Power, pretty good shovel. We have multiples of these. That's why this one looks brand new, because 2 is 1, 1 is none. Also, that brings up the point of have enough of these that if you host a work party at your homestead, or if your mutual assistance group, your MAG, your prepper team all comes together in one place, you want to have enough hand tools there that when it's time to do this thing, whatever this thing is, there's not 6 guys trying to share one shovel. So I have like 4 to 6 of all important hand tools, A, because some will break, and B, because I want to be able to properly equip my people. So, not sexy at all, but basic hand tools for the homestead. Thank you to Survival Dispatch for allowing yet another bearded survivalist into your presence. We greatly appreciate you. If you're not subscribed to Survival Dispatch, please do ring the little notification bell. Share this video out to somebody that you think that needs to see it. And I am Bear with BearIndependent.com and here on YouTube, Bear Independent. We hope to see you soon over at our channel. Bless y'all. Shalom.